I call this meeting together of the South Redford Board of Education at 6:37. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the roll call. Mr. Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Anthony Johnson.
Present.
Lori Hicks.
Present.
Amanda Flesher. Absent. Cheryl Flesher.
Present.
Misha Early.
Present.
Daniel Winston present. And Shirley Tolliver.
Present. Next item on the agenda is the approval of agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? There are none. The agenda will be as written. Next item on the agenda is Superintendent Communications. Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Madam President. I have several communications to share this evening. First and foremost, congratulations are in order to the Thurston High School Drama Club students that participated in an incredibly outstanding performance of Once Upon This Island over at Thurston High School last week underneath the leadership of Patty Denton, Tim Shaner, Austin Marcio, and Austin Chasnick. So it was an incredible musical performance from our Thurston High School Drama Club. And then additionally, congratulations are in order to the middle school esports team for winning the state championship this Mother's Day weekend. They finished in first place for Super Smash Brothers. So congratulations are in order to the entire middle school esports team, as well as to Pierce Middle School teacher and activity sponsor Jessica Jascott for her incredible leadership with that group of students. And then also congratulations are in order for the exceptional leadership and commitment of Mr. David Julian, who is a Thurston High School teacher, for his continued contributions for the Board of Michigan Association of Family and Consumer Sciences. And thanks to his efforts, he was instrumental in supporting the pre-conference at the Michigan Career Educational Conference and ensuring that Family Consumer Sciences continues to remain visible and integrated with broader career technical education opportunities for our students. So hats off to Mr. David Julian as well. And that concludes my communications this evening, Madam President.
Next item on the agenda is board communications. Are there any? There are none. Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience, topics related to the agenda. Are there any?
No.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a board member willing to adopt the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Yes.
I move the adoption of the following resolution.
Do I have a support?
Support.
It's been moved by Mrs. Early and supported by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the, 6 ayes, 0 nays, resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda is presentation from Student Services. Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Student Services, Ms. Shirley Ashford, as well as our Elementary Assistant Principal, Ms. Kyla Page, who are here to share a presentation this evening with both members of the audience as well as with the board to talk with us about how things are going in the Student Services Department. So with that, I will turn it over to the two of them.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are going to present some information regarding student services with you. And the way that we're going to have it, the way that I'm going to do it is I'll go through the slides, and if you have any questions about that particular slide, I'll stop and then answer the questions. I think that may be easier than to go through the entire presentation and then take questions at the end. That's okay. here, we just have the vision. Eagles are educated, equipped, and empowered. Now, belief statements. Here we have the mission. Eagles educate, encourage, and engage every student, every day. And our goal and focus areas. The 3 big rocks: relationships and responsiveness, safety, including the learning environment, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And our district strategies: to provide a safe, nurturing environment for all, families as supportive partners, and guarantee viable curriculum, high-quality instruction, and assessment evidence. So this is just a hierarchy of school needs: self-actualization, esteem, belonging, safety, and physiological.
So when you think about our big three rocks, I know you guys heard that with all the presentations that you've heard throughout the year. When we look at the hierarchy of that, the relationships and responsiveness is really key, as well as psychologically safety, belonging, esteem. So it kind of falls, as well as the Maslow's hierarchy of school needs. There's also needs that we have based on our 3 big rocks here at South Medford. Sure. So MTSS, multiple tier systems of support. Each building has an MTSS team that really co-aligns with student services. So when we look at student needs, that we're making sure that we go through that MTSS process. We're looking at the tier delivered systems, which is our tier 1. That continuous database driven decisions, if we have to move from a tier 1 to a tier 2, what does that look like? Using data to drive those decisions. Also looking at the selections and implementation of the instructional learning interventions and support that we provide to our students, as well as looking at those comprehensive screenings and assessment systems to use the best practices. So when we do the assessments and we do diagnoses and we monitor the student progress. And then we look at that team-based leadership, which is throughout our district. So we look at the district level, the building level, the education collaboration supports that we use to help see the whole child and make sure they are successful.
Student services, the umbrella of services that we offer, provide. Of course, we have students with disabilities. We have our McKinney-Vento, SEL, which is social emotional learning, the wellness committee, preschool and kids care, behavior committee, sex ed advisory, and the suicide prevention coalition. So these are all the things that fall under student services. So when we look at special education, we know that there are 13 possible eligibility areas in the state of Michigan. And so I kind of just wanted to go through that because when we get into the data, I want us to think about the individual disability and the individual child and not group them together. And so knowing and understanding that we have students here in South Redford that pretty much meet every area of eligibility that the state of Michigan offers. Any questions about that? So now let's look at the data from 2024. So I thought it would be helpful that we added this slide in because when I get to talk about numbers, the numbers are going to say not proficient and there's going to be some percentages, but I want us to know and understand what that means and what that looks like. So there's 4 different levels to the MSTEP test. If you fall anywhere between level 1 and level 2, you're going to automatically be not proficient, and so that's going to automatically count against us. However, we know and understand that we're working with students with disabilities and that they're making great progress, so I've included some additional data in the slides that can help you understand that. So this is the ELA. So for the state of Michigan, students with disabilities in grade 3, overall it was 16%. In 2024, we had 24 students in South Redford that took the ELA, and we had 4% of them be proficient in that area. In grade 4, 16%, we had 39 students, 5%. In grade 5, 14, 29 students, 21%. Grade 6, 10%, we had 33 students at 12%. Grade 7, 10%, we had 26 students at 15%. For grade 8 for PSAT, the state was 23%. We had 23 students that was assessed, and we got 13%. And for grade 11, 13%, we had 27 students at 7%. I think what's important to note is that we are above the state percentages for 5, 6, and 7. So we know that great work is happening here. The My Access is not included in this. This is just MSTEP data. And we are monitoring to ensure that all special education students are showing growth towards proficiency in those areas, regardless of the disability. Any questions about ELA before I move to math? Stay with the math. So for math, 2024, for the state, 21%. We had 24 students. 8% were proficient. We didn't have any that was partially proficient. For grade 4, 16%, 39 students, 8 that were proficient, 0 that were partially proficient. For grade 5, 11%, we had 29 students. We did not have any that were proficient. However, we did have 7% of those students that were partially proficient. So what that says is that they are moving towards that proficiency. For grade 6, 8%, 33 students, 9% proficient. Grade 7, 8%, 26 students, 8% proficiency. Grade 8, which is the PSAT, 5%, 23 students, 0 proficient. However, there was 13 that were partially proficient. Grade 11, 3%, we had 27 students, 0 proficiency. However, there were 7% that were partially proficient. So although there were no students that were proficient in 5 and 8, there are 7% and 13% that are working their way towards that proficiency. Again, this is the My Access data. It's only MSTEP, PSAT, and SAT. Questions before we move to the next slide?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you go back to the 0 and then the ones that, the 0, no,
For math?
yes.
Okay.
So 0% and 7% towards
Partially proficient.
partially. 0 is what?
0% were proficient.
Okay,
They mastered it. They knew
So
exactly.
0% mastered it.
all right. I just want to clear that up.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a follow-up
Sure.
question?
Sure.
Those kids that are just partially proficient, have we been able to identify where they're, for lack of better words, where they're not proficient to meet proficiency?
Yeah, so what we're doing and what we're looking at this year is the times that students are being pulled out of class to receive their special ed services, right? Because we want to ensure that they're receiving that tier 1 instruction still, right? Because if they're getting those interventions, which they absolutely can, it'll help close this gap and move them to proficient, if that makes sense.
It does, but what I'm really asking is if we've been able to identify which areas they're struggling with.
Like they're good at math, subtraction and addition, but maybe not multiplication.
Not
Or they're
multiplication.
just in the
And, yeah, and so once they're evaluated for special education, we have an idea of which areas that they're struggling with. And then those goals and objectives kind of help close that gap. But also in addition to that, so yes, to answer your question, yes, we do know.
Okay, thank you.
but then also how are we supporting them in that gen ed setting as well.
Okay. Thanks, Dana, for clarifying for me.
For science, grade 5, 16%. For state, we had 10% that was proficient. So we did pretty well for 5th grade. For grade 8, 12%, only 4% proficient. In grade 11, 11%, and we had 11% proficient. So pretty good data for science. Questions about science before I move on to social studies? So for social studies, grade 5, 6%. We had 0% that were proficient. However, we have 45% that are partially proficient. So again, kind of making sure that we're moving them towards this proficient area. For grade 8, 8%, 0% proficient. However, we did have 25% that were partially proficient. And then for grade 11, the state 14%, we were at 11. Any questions about the social studies data?
So what are we gonna do with all this data and analysis? So if we look at our yearbook, for ELA grades 5, 6, and 7, we have a proficiency percentage are above the state. In math, 6 and 7 proficiency percentages are above or the same as the state. Science grade 11 proficiency percentage same as the state. Social studies grades 5 and 8, significant numbers of our students are partially proficient, so we're working in that trajectory of building them up to become proficient. Identified in the 2024 MSTART claims and targets strengthened in our weaknesses. So we are working on building teams on what that looks like when we provide those services in their small group with their case providers.
So what? So we've identified the MSTEP standard proficiencies and the deficits by the individual student needs. We've identified individual students that have not shown growth on the MSTEP from 23 to 24. We've identified students that are close to proficiency, which we call our bubble kids, right? And we want to plan for better accommodations for them so that they can hit that proficiency mark. And also just kind of look at the barriers to success. What's the issues that are keeping them or what's preventing them from making proficiency. So now what? So some things that we discussed was, of course, strengthening that tier 1 instruction and inclusion of students with disabilities in the high quality general ed instruction because it's important. Increase the collaboration between general ed and special ed. Focus on discussions about scaffolding and using differentiated output for students. Supporting the SEL needs of students and also making sure that we're doing a lot of progress monitoring. So every year we have a STRAM report and it tells us how we're doing as a district. And so for our 25 STRAM report, which was released in February of this year, here's where we are. So we met most of the targets on the 14 state indicators. We are well above target for graduation rate at 85%. Keep it in mind that we do have students that are certificate of completion track, and so they're not counted in that 85%. Slight increase in the educational environment. We know that that's due to the opening of our county ASD programs that we currently have. And our timeliness of IEPs indicator for the district was 98.71. So good things are happening. Questions about the STRAM report? So here's where we are. We have 485 students with IEPs in district. We have 69 students that are served in out-of-district programs. We have 4 ASD center programs, 3 at our elementary, 1 at the middle school. And we have 5 cross-cap programs, 2 in our elementary, 2 in middle school, 1 at the high school. We have 46 special education staff, and it's about 130 student services staff that falls under our umbrella.
I have a question on that
Yes.
last one.
Yes,
You're saying out of district programs?
out-of-district programs.
Are those like inclusion classrooms or?
So those are for our students with most significant needs. So we have students that have physical other impairment, that have multiple impairments. And so we don't have that program here in South Redford.
Okay,
So we partner and send them to other schools within the county.
okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Yes. So this year, the state of Michigan updated their least restrictive environment continuum. They're really trying to push for more inclusion of students with disabilities. And so they've added a few layers. So of course, the least restrictive environment is that general ed setting. And then we go all the way up to the most restrictive environment, which will be a home base or an IAES, which is an interim alternative educational setting. So what we try to do, or what we attempt to do, is have our kids in that gen ed setting at least 80% of the day, because that's where they're going to learn and grow. However, we know that we have students that will not be successful in that placement, and so then we start moving up the continuum. And those are all team decisions. It's a great celebration. You want to talk about the celebration?
As a student service umbrella, we do have great services and celebrations that we do with our students. So this year, we really had an increase in our peer-to-peer opportunities in elementary and the middle school. We had initiations of a unified PE class and music. Appreciation that started over at Pierce for the ASD in their cross-cut program that they piloted for us this year. So these are the pictures that you see is from our secondary and our, secondary year. Yep, during the unified PE and music class. And then we also took some field trips this year. So our ASD classroom over at Jefferson went and did Rock the Spectrum. Rock the Spectrum is a new operation over in Farmington Hills. So it was a great opportunity for our kids to really go over and get to utilize things that best support them in an appropriate field trip. They had a great time. And then over at the high school, they're also doing amazing things. So one of our cross-cut classrooms is ran by Ms. Bardis. A lot of her students are part of the CTE program. So they get to work in the kitchen, we have the host, and they also took a field trip last week, bowling. So they get to do outings as well and build up that peer relationships and get to practice that social development skill as well as learning a trade for life skills references. And so as me and Shirley as being new into the student service department, we did our own little staff appreciation gifts that we gave to all 130 of our student services staff. And then you guys also, you guys also received one of those tonight. Make sure I gotta get you a book, but I see you all the time, so I can hand that to you. So we gave all of our staff gifts as appreciation, because they got to know us, we got to know them, and actually we did more staff meetings this year to really build the needs of student services and what they need from us to help support our students in the best way.
So there's more to come in the 25-26 school year. So we are adding an ASD center program at the high school. Kyla and I and a few of the other team members had the opportunity to go and visit Livonia's ASD classroom. And so that was very inspiring because it allowed us to kind of see a program that has been running and how it's ran and the things that we need to help us be successful with our ASD program. So we are transitioning all of the elementary ASD programs to Fisher in the fall, and that's also where student services will be housed. So student services will be housed with the ASD center programs at Fisher.
And so we're really excited about this transition because our teams are so spread up across the district, and now they're in the same building, so they get to collaborate, see what each other are doing. We try to do most of their PLCs together, so they have that collaboration time, but they never know what Adams is doing or what the other buildings are doing, so we're really excited that they can be in one location and really help develop our program, as well as have their own supports, because special ed teachers are different from gen ed teachers, so we try to keep them all in the loop. So to work with someone who understands what we're doing and continue to build is very helpful.
Continue our partnership with Wayne Risa to increase professional development opportunities for general education teachers. Because what we know is that the babies are coming. They're coming every year. And so, you know, we know, because I was a general ed teacher, and so I wasn't prepared for those students. And so we want to make sure that our general ed teachers are prepared. Continue our partnership with Hope Empowerment Coalition. Continue our partnerships with Lincoln Behavioral and Growth Works to help support mental health. Expansion of our peer-to-peer programs. And then we got a new partnership with Trails, and it is a curriculum that the state of Michigan is paying for a year around social emotional learning. So we're super excited about that. And with that, we are done. Are there any questions for me?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you all have an ASD Center program teacher for Thursday yet?
No, but the position is posted.
And I have another question.
Okay.
The M-STEP, is it the same test?
It is.
Okay.
It is, but they do get accommodations.
Okay.
They do receive accommodations. And so some of the accommodations that they're able to receive is they can hear it audio, so if they need that support, it can read it for them.
They get extra time?
Yeah, they get extended time, small settings, so most of our students take their M-STEP with their teacher consultant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discuss 2025-2026 RESA preliminary budget. Mr. Baha.
Thank you, Madam President. The board will open its discussion of the Wayne County RESA preliminary budget for the 25-26 school year. Section 380.624 of the revised school code requires that each constituent school board of Wayne RESA to participate in Wayne RESA's budget development process. Not later than June 1st of each year, each local school board must review the proposed budget, adopt a board resolution expressing its support for or disapproval of the proposed budget, and submit to Wayne County RESA board any specific objections and proposed changes to the constituent district board recommends that take place with the budget. The Wayne County RESA board is then obligated to consider the specific objections and proposed changes. And that is listed as a discuss for this evening, Madam President.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or any on the budget or,
Haven't really seen it before this moment, so I wouldn't have a clue if I do or don't.
Cheryl, do you have any?
No. Looks good to me.
Next item on the agenda, discuss updates to board policy. Mrs. Hicks.
Okay, the committee that does the board policy, which includes both the superintendent, Mr. Kinsey, and the administrative teams, a couple of the board members, we all got together and discussed the upcoming Neola changes. Most of those were just updates that were legal updates, so they had to be included. And the other one, it might have been a box where you could hit superintendent, this person, or designate, where we just had to clarify where our board policy would stand. And that's about it.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I know Chris sent it out, so.
so, if there's no further discussion on that, we will
Vote on it at the
vote
next
on it
meeting.
at the next meeting, yes. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider designation of electoral representative for RESA election.
Thank you, Madam President. A biennial election is being held on Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. for 2 seats on the Wayne RESA Board of Education. These seats are for a 6-year term beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2031. These seats are currently being held by James S. Berry and Linda S. Jackson. Candidates were required to file their nominating petitions by Monday, May 5th, 2025 at 4 p.m. A candidate list is attached, and per Public Acts 233 and 419 of 2004, local districts must adopt a resolution at a public meeting which names the party who is designated to cast ballots for ISD seats. The board will discuss the designation of a South Redford Board of Education member to cast the ballot for the June 2nd, 2025 Wayne RESA Board election on behalf of the South Redford School District. On May 19th, 2025, the board will discuss and then consider a resolution that directs the designee which candidate the Board of South Redford supports for the position to be filled. The designated representative will be directed to cast a vote on the first ballot on behalf of the South Redford Board of Education. Madam President, a resolution is attached for board consideration.
Okay, first of all, we need to discuss or decide who's going to be the representative from South Redford. Nisha, can you do that? Sure. You did that last year. Let's see, we need an alternate.
Be the alternate.
You will, okay, that's very good. So the only candidate that we have is just two. Yeah, James Berry and Linda Jackson. And they already sit on the RESA board. So, it'll be both of them.
Right, they're the only ones running for it.
Yeah, because they're the only ones running, yes. Okay. So.
I will move the resolution.
Okay. It's been moved by Mrs. Hicks. Support. Supported by Mrs. Early. All in favor?
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays. Resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda is consider food services contract extension. Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Madam President. On May 22nd, 2023, the Board of Education approved the food services contract between the South Redford School District and Chartwell's School Dining Services. In order for the current contract to remain in effect, it is required by the Michigan Department of Education that the board formally approve a renewal of the original contract. Each 5-year period, the Michigan Department of Education requires local districts to advertise for bids. Since the district advertised for bids in 2023, it is not necessary to advertise for bids this year. On April 28th, 2025, the board discussed the food services management contract renewal. Chartwell's has provided food service management to the expectations as outlined in the contract. The contract approved by the Board of Education was for 1 year with up to 4 one-year renewals. Based upon Chartwell's overall performance during the school year, it is my recommendation that this contract be extended to include the 25-26 school year. The food service management contract with Chartwell's is pending approval from the Michigan Department of Education. Madam President, a resolution is attached for board consideration.
Do I have a board member willing to adopt?
To the chair, I have a
Yes.
question.
Oh, yes.
Does the renewal remain at the same consistent cost, or is there a wage increase for the management company?
It's a great question.
There is a change in contract, which can be pulled if we need to. It's not
Well, I'm
substantial,
just
it's not
wondering-
substantial.
Yeah, it's not substantial?
No, it is not.
Okay, go ahead.
To the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to move the adoption of the resolution with the changes pending approval
Yes.
by the Michigan Department of Ed. Because we haven't received the approval, but we can still move forward.
Support?
It's been moved by Mrs. Fletcher, supported by Mrs. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? 6 ayes, 0 nays. Resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda, discuss and consider board meeting schedule change. That would be me. We have a meeting on June the 16th scheduled, and since, Lori, you'll be out of town, and, Amanda will be away. What does the board think about us having that meeting on June the 2nd to discuss our mission and vision?
I'm okay with that because I'm not leaving till the 6th.
I'll be late.
Yeah, my sister did a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the vote, so we should have voted at 6 p.m. on the 2nd.
Okay, but we can do that.
Well, the resolution has nothing to do with what you're asking of us. We need to move and cancel the meeting.
Well, what we're gonna do is cancel it, but before I wanna do that, I just want to give you a reason why I wanna change it to the 2nd, so we can discuss our mission and vision.
Okay, but that's not what this resolution says.
Right,
It just
we've
says
got to
we're
focus
just
on the
canceling.
resolution right now, to cancel the meeting.
Yeah, okay. So, do I have a board member that's willing to cancel the meeting because of, yes,
I will.
okay.
Since I'm going to be one of the ones not there. Support.
Okay, it's been canceled by Mrs. Hicks and supported by Mrs. Early. Now, so on June the 2nd,
No, we got to vote on it.
oh, that's right. Okay, all in favor?
Uh,
Any nays? 6 ayes, 0 nays, resolution adopted. Now, on June the 2nd, what do we think about, what's the will of the board?
Can Chris send out a request so we can check our calendars? Not knowing about June 2nd, I don't have my calendar in front of me and I don't know what's already been scheduled.
And what time will it be? Thank you.
Well, you could start it, since you have your meeting at 6 o'clock, you can start at 6.
Well, wouldn't we want Misha here for that meeting? I mean, I'm just saying, you know,
It takes longer than half an hour to get from Risa here at that time of day.
Yeah.
and back. So
Well,
that's-
okay, what's the will of the board? Is 7 okay? 7 is fine. Everybody agree with 7?
I have to check my calendar, I
Okay,
can't commit.
we'll have Chris.
Okay.
I think Misha can get back in touch with her. Misha
could.
got fast, but no, but I don't want her to, yeah. Oh, just
We don't
put it
want
out
her
there.
hurting
Yeah,
herself.
we don't want to encourage her
You
speeding.
don't got to encourage
We don't
her.
want
She do
it-
it
that's
anyway.
right.
Surely I'll pay your
Yeah.
speeding ticket.
We don't want to pay her speeding ticket. Okay, so we'll have Chris. Here we go.
Right there, right there.
Okay, you'll do that for me? All right. Okay. Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience, topics not related to the agenda.
Have one. Does anyone else have anything out there? Just have one. You want me to read that?
I think someone else back there is asking a
Somebody
question.
else?
No, I think he's asking a question of Chris.
Yes.
I
It's
think
on
they're
the
over on the
table.
table over there.
Oh, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Want me to read the disclaimer?
Yes, go ahead.
Comment from the audience. When addressing the board, please state your name, address, and affiliation. The board welcomes comments from the public and values the input of stakeholders that stakeholders bring to the table. The president respectfully reminds all of us, this is not a forum for debate. The board may choose to ask clarifying questions regarding an expressed concern, but will not respond to the concerns at the meeting. You can expect a timely response from the appropriate individual. Personal matters cannot and will not be discussed in this forum. So, Rebecca Walensky. Okay, you will have 3 minutes. I have my magical clock right here. I will start it, and you will have 3 minutes. When the time is up, we ask you to conclude what you have to say, okay? So, come up, name, address, and your affiliation. When you start talking, I'll start.
Okay, my name is Rebecca Walensky. I live at 9141 Kinlock in Redford. I'm a teacher at Thurston High School, and I have a child at Jefferson Elementary. It's not going.
I know, I'm gonna give you a little time.
Oh, okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to address the board about a concern I had relating to the unfortunate incident at Thurston last Wednesday when a student was shot on the bus. And I am thankful that the student was, minimally injured. I mean, he was still shot, but he wasn't killed, or another student wasn't harmed in any way, and administration responded quickly to the incident. Although I do have concerns about the communication to staff after that event. Staff were not informed until about 2 hours after the event by administration. And many teachers were still in the school. There were students still in the school with after-school activities. No lockdown was called, and which is in opposition to our training in both ALICE training and emergency trainings at the school. Many teachers found out about the shooting from students, including myself. I was approximately 100 feet from where it happened, and about 20 minutes after it happened, I walked out of my classroom. I saw a student on his phone. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm calling my mom to tell her about what happened." I'm like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Someone was shot." And at that point, I was shocked because I've been teaching for 14 years and never has that happened on campus when I've been there. At that point, I walked to the door near my room and I saw a number of cop cars outside. There were a number of police walking around. There was an ambulance. There was blood on the floor. There were students milling around. And the staff had not been informed. For me to see that and be shocked, and for no shelter in place, no announcement of an emergency, was appalling to me, both as a teacher and a parent.
Time's up.
Well, she got 45 seconds.
And I just think that it could have been improved vastly. Though I'm glad that the event didn't carry on after the initial incident. Additionally, I was disappointed not to have communication from our superintendent. And when staff returned on Friday, he was not at the meeting. And I expected, some central office representative there, either the assistant superintendent or the superintendent, and that wasn't there. And so I think the communication could have been improved in that, because of this event. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay.
Stacy Jackson. Name, address, and affiliation.
Name, Stacy Jackson, address 21685 Rougewood Drive, Southfield, Michigan. I am not a voter or resident of the city of Redford. However, I don't feel I need to be to show up, stand up, and speak in solidarity of our parents, our students, and our city. Right? I'm here today to talk about senseless gun violence. I'm a part of an organization called All Race and Life Matter, where we changed the spelling and the meaning of race, so it's RASE, meaning real activism serves everyone. I'm here today to stand up in solidarity of the parents, of the schools, of the students, to say that gun violence is real. Whether it's Redford, Detroit, Michigan State, Oxford. We're hosting a Silence the Violence event in the city of Detroit. It's a 38-city kickoff to end gun violence. I'm hoping that with this situation that we can help curb senseless gun violence in our schools. I echo the sentiments of the parent that spoke. We should not become numb to gun violence. We should all be shocked. We should all be outraged. We should all be inspired and compelled to stand up, show up, and speak up against gun violence in our schools. Okay? I'm here today to show that we are here to unite, to unify, to help comfort Redford at this time, and help move forward the agenda of ending gun violence in our schools. I encourage you all to come out June 7th. It's going to be launching in Detroit, right at the Church of the Messiah on East Grand Boulevard in Lafayette. The first kickoff actually, I believe, is in Flint on May 24th, but the larger event where all of these communities come together will be June 7th. I encourage you all to come out. We give resources. There are people there to help you through this and to form solidarity to help curb gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Race, what does that mean again?
RACE, R-A-S-E, real activism serves everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keith Harris.
41685 Rougewood, Southfield. That was my wife that was speaking. I'm gonna tell you a short story. I was invited here to talk about gun violence. Earlier this morning, right here, close to Redford on Grand River. Early this morning, on my way, it was just crazy. I'm coming here to talk about gun violence. My nephew drives a Pepsi truck to deliver, and he got shot this morning and killed. Oh my God. Right by Redford. Now our problem, this happened today. Now this is real. This is real. And we want to invite Redford to join our Silence the Violence movement and our Unity in the Community movement, because this is the time. This incident could have been a lot worse that happened in Redford. This is our time. These are our children. We don't want this to happen. We don't want you to have another incident like what we had in Oxford. We can catch this if we all work together. We can catch this. This is not a race issue. This is just a kid issue. And where are the kids getting these guns? We had 2 shootings in Southfield where a kid got a hold of a 45 and a 9mm. I mean, come on. We can do this if we work together. We can do this. We're working right along with the Redford Dem Club, which is very active in your community. But this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a kid issue. This is lives. So I'm saying to you all, if we can all come together and create a Unity in the Community program and start your own gun violence program, Silence the Violence is real. Let's talk to our kids. But it all starts with us. Let's talk to them. Because what happened today knocked me dead. I mean, really. I mean, early this morning, he's driving his Pepsi truck, he's delivering, and it's right here at the cusp of Redford. And I'm quite sure the kid who shot him might even attend your schools. So let's come together.
Thank you so much.
Sharita de Graffenried. I may have jacked that up, and I do apologize if I jacked it up. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Good evening.
Sharita de Graffenried, at 11323 Virgil Reclamation, 48239. I am part of the Thurston High School. 2 of my sons attend school, 9th graders. And I do agree with what has been said thus far. I do believe as a whole, I've been a part of South Redford since 2009, and I believe just as a whole and as a community and as professionals, parents, teachers, us working together, that we could have had a better, effective communication on the way the incident happened on Wednesday. It was very disheartening to hear, as she said, through various students and through various phone calls, and for me, it was through another parent to find out. And here I am, the parent in the home with my 2 boys, so to hear from an outside parent is very discouraging and disheartening for me, and I'm very fearful as well. So I do believe, again, and us as a whole, as much as we see each other and work together, I just think we could have something better in place to effectively communicate. I would like to find out today if there's anything that we as the board or our superintendent can share to help ease our minds, ease my heart. I did notice my sons came home with their book bag, so I would say thank you to the board for that, coming to a decision. I think that was something being very proactive and transparent. We probably should have adopted clear book bags, but however, is that long term? Is that until the end of the school year? And maybe what else do we have in place to move forward? If there's any information that you can share, or do we have approved parents and teachers coming together to where we still can come with a plan and ideas to help again to maybe not see this happen and to prevent it as much as possible. So that's my heart, and that's what I wanted to share and to ask today. Again, just a plan of how can we move forward and better to secure, not just for our staff. We want you to be safe, but we also want to know that our children are safe as we give them to you every morning when you come into the buildings of South Bend.
Thank you. And Ms. Sharita, someone will be in touch with you before the end of the week. All righty. The next item on the agenda is a closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement and to discuss a written legal memorandum. Is there a member willing to make the motion to enter into closed session?
I will.
It's been supported by Mrs. Hicks. It's been adopted by Mrs. Hicks. Is there support? Support. It's been supported by Mrs. Early. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's it.